Hello everyone, my name is Wendy Fleming and I am the subject leader for A-level biology at Bay House School in sixth form. And I'm hoping that you'll get all the information you need from the information that I provide tonight to help you decide whether or not you want to study A-level biology. I hope you do. The teachers here absolutely love their subject, and you know, we have a lot of success, and so it's a good option, I believe. Okay, just giving you a little bit of a subject overview then. It's an incredibly popular subject at A-level. We have a large number of students who study it. We have just over 80 in the lower six currently and around 60 in the upper six, and so that's a large cohort. The students tell us that they really enjoy biology, but they do find it challenging. However, despite the fact they find it challenging, they really want to pursue it, and they really enjoy carrying on with the subject and sort of finding out more. And because of that, at the end, when they succeed, they find it incredibly rewarding. So sometimes we do deal with some really tough topics, but at the end, after quite a lot of practice, students do understand, and so that they find that incredibly rewarding, and so do we, in honesty. The A-level teaching team comprises 6 teachers. We work together, we work really well together. We all sort of have an absolute passion for biology, and we just really enjoy teaching it, quite frankly. And so I believe the students certainly tell us that that comes over in our teaching. But the beauty of working as a team and having this passion for your subject is that you want other people to enjoy it too, and to have the same passion. And so we work together to provide resources and to sort of support our students and put on extra things just to help them. Each class is taught by 2 teachers, so you know, you're not stuck with 1 teacher, but you've got 2 teachers, and that's really good because we all understand both sides of the course, which means that if you haven't quite got it with 1 teacher, then you have another teacher that you can ask. There's lots of advantages to it. We all have different teaching styles, and so, you know, you get a bit of variety in the delivery as well. We try and keep at least one of those teachers with the class as they move into the upper 6, but to be honest, we're all capable of teaching all parts of the specification, and so in a sense that's not so important. It's not always possible to do that, but we do try and keep at least 1 teacher. We ourselves produce really high quality resources. We produce things like worksheets, but we also produce help sheets, and these help sheets sort of address the more difficult topics so that students can sort of have another means by which they can understand. So we break down a topic and sort of use lots of pictures and those sorts of things to help them, and students tell us that they are really useful. We also provide all students with a textbook. This textbook is very good. It's approved by AQA, our exam board, and if you were to take the specification that AQA provide, then the textbook follows exactly the same path through. And so, you know, it's like a checklist in itself for students to see that they're covering everything. We are very hot on monitoring student progress, and we intervene early if we believe there is an issue. So how do we do that? Well, obviously we have classwork. We ask the students to answer questions in class, to work on activities in class, but also we set homework so we can have a look at the quality of their answers in their homework. But certainly in the early stages, to get students used to learning, we do lots of mini tests, and it helps them to understand that they have to learn as they go, because otherwise the content is just going to get too much for them. And then we have end of topic tests where we look at larger pieces of work and more comprehensive work, where the questions tend to be a bit more synoptic. And then in January, the biologists do a mini mock, and in around March time they do a proper mock. And by the time they get to the mocks, they sort of come to terms with the jump from GCSE to A-level. And we do encourage them to stick with it, because we know that it is a big jump, but we've had great success over many years with students, and so we know that if they do stick with it, they will be fine. We set home learning. Every week each teacher will set work for students to do at home, or in their independent study time. We expect students on top of that to be consolidating their understanding. We don't set absolutely everything from the textbook. We would expect them to use their textbook to, sort of tie up loose ends, that sort of thing, perhaps to add extra diagrams into their notes or to annotate diagrams, that sort of thing. We give students feedback on the quality of their written work, including their home learning work. So we do expect them to answer lots of past paper questions, to get used to putting their knowledge into into those exam questions. And we don't just mark it, we give detailed feedback. So we give whole class feedback or individual feedback, where we explain to students where marks have been lost, or alternative right answers. So they might have given a correct answer, but an alternative answer that they could also have put in those circumstances. So they get a lot of detailed feedback. Our examination results are very good. I would say that over the years we have sort of honed our skills incredibly. A couple of us work for the exam board, so we understand the fine-tuning that is needed to get students over the grade boundaries into a grade that they truly deserve. And you can see that in 2019, where students sat the exams, our results were incredibly good. So when you look at an A star to A performance of 43%, that is in line with many of the private schools, many of the top private schools. That is in line with selective sixth forms and so on, highly selective sixth forms. So we hold our own in that sense. So in 2019 and just about every year, we have a 100% pass rate. If someone doesn't pass, there are usually extenuating circumstances. So it was slightly different in 2020, and sort of in February time, if you'd asked me, I would have expected another successful sort of set of examination results, something along these lines. Just a mistake I have noticed on this slide is that the total number of students wasn't 58. That was a carryover from the previous slide. So I'm really sorry about that. I'm sure you can add up and work out it was about 39, something like that. But anyway, in the end, we had to go through a very, very long process. I'm sure you've heard a lot about this, but we came up with these were the central assessed grades that we felt were a true reflection of how our students would have performed in the actual exams, and very much in line with the ALPS grade, which we normally get. So the ALPS grade is a progress performance measurement. So we always perform at a very high level on ALPS, and this puts us in exactly the same position as we have been for a number of years now, at a very top level of performance for our A-level students. So a little bit about the course then. Well, the course is split into 2 years, and within each of those years there are 4 sections. So in the lower 6, in year 1, the students study cells and biological molecules in the first term. That takes us to Christmas. I know it's hard to believe, but that does take us to Christmas for those two big sections. In fact, this little diagram at the top here is of part of a cell. So the grey-brown area is a nucleus. We have cytoplasm out here in the blue with some mitochondria in. This is what we call a false colour electron micrograph. So this is something that has got thousands of times magnification. And we can see the membrane here of the nucleus, and then coming off that membrane we have endoplasmic reticulum. So great words, love all the words in biology, and students at first think endoplasmic reticulum, that's such a long word, but eventually they get so used to these long words that it almost becomes like normal everyday language to them. Anyway, that's something to look forward to, I hope. So cells and biological molecules takes us to Christmas. So I mentioned before that we have 2 teachers teaching. So one teacher will be teaching the cells topic, one teacher will be teaching the biological molecules topic. And then around Christmas time, once we have finished those and done some end of topic tests and what have you, we move on to the next 2 large topic areas, which is exchange and genetic information. And so, in a sense, I say to the students, what you're learning in the cells and biological molecules is almost like a super alphabet for starting to look at exchange, genetic information, and the upper 6 topics. So a bit more about the upper 6 then. This is a lovely diagram here. It's, you know, highly diagrammatic of DNA with some what we call RNA, messenger RNA being transcribed from that DNA. Students will understand that about Christmas of the lower 6. So there are 4 sections in year 2. Energy transfers in and between organisms. That includes everything from the biochemistry of photosynthesis in detail. Students learn a very brief equation at GCSE, when in fact that what they're going to find out is many, many reactions that happen for that to occur, so for photosynthesis to occur, likewise for respiration, and then how that energy is transferred through food chains and what have you. Organisms respond to changes in their internal and external environment, so the nervous system, homeostasis, muscles, all of those sorts of things. Students love that topic. Genetics, populations, and so on, well, it's all about genetic crosses, you know, inheritance, all of those, how we inherit our characteristics, all of those sorts of things. And finally, the control of gene expression is about, it is about how the body controls gene expression, but also how we have developed the technology to bring about gene technology and so on, and have a look at that side of biology. So it's worth saying that we start on some of this A-level content, the upper 6 content, sorry, at the end of the lower 6, so that we have plenty of time at the end for revision, consolidation, exam practice, and so on. And we found that a really successful way of sort of setting things up. Okay, for all of the A-level practice, all of the A-level subjects, there is a practical endorsement element to the course. Now, this is provided as a separate certificate to the A-level, so it doesn't determine whether or not you pass the A-level, but it is an additional recognition of developing some practical skills. There are 12 required practicals that are needed over the 2 years, and those 12 practicals that the exam board may ask questions about those practicals within the examination papers, so they will test that they understand those practicals. But also the other side of it is that while they're doing those practicals and other practical work, they will develop certain skills like their ability to plan a practical and so on. And so we have, every single student that we have taken through has passed the practical endorsement. We were moderated by JCQ in January, and we passed with flying colours. So all of our paperwork was in place. They thought we were doing it to the right standard and so on. We're very confident that students will achieve this practical endorsement in biology. So why choose biology then? Well, there are so many reasons to choose biology, not least because we all love biology and we want everyone else to love it too. But, you know, quite seriously, the world needs biologists. Just think about, you know, what we've been going through for the last sort of 9 months or so, and you will understand why the world needs biologists. But not just for that, not just for things like COVID, which is a particular virus. You know, there are other diseases. There are diseases that we can't treat, or we're going to not be able to treat soon because we have become resistant to antibiotics, for instance. And, you know, they haven't yet come up with an effective alternative treatment for that. But there's neurodegenerative diseases, there's all sorts of things, there's like mental health and so on, and we need biologists to look into these sort of different diseases and ways of developing different treatments, and not more of the same, but something that's alternative. We need great minds out there in biology. On a completely different aspect of biology, there's ecology, conservation, preservation of species and biodiversity. You know, one of the sad things about the fact that the population of the world has expanded so much is that we invariably have had to take up loads of space. And if you take up more space, then you have to remove some of the habitats and what have you. And so we have to look at ways in which we can preserve these species, because once they're gone, they are gone, and that is it. So people working in that field, sort of a merger really between sort of geography, biology, and other sort of strengths, really, other topics, subjects, is the idea of effective food production. Are there alternative ways in which we can provide nutrition? Are there alternative ways in which we can sort of source water and all of those sorts of things? And then genetic engineering almost sounds like, you know, a sort of a statement there, genetic engineering for the common good. There are so many positive things that we can do with genetic engineering that everybody should be able to have access to the benefits of it. But we need to do it safely, and so we need people who, you know, are driven to provide safe outcomes from genetic engineering. Those are just a few things. I haven't even mentioned medicine, dentistry, and so on, which I'll come to in a little bit. The other thing about biology is that you invariably develop quite significant skills as a result of studying biology. Although obviously you need an enormous amount of knowledge to be able to understand what's going on, the exam board doesn't really ask you very many questions where it's just regurgitate this. Much more of it is about being able to take the knowledge from across the spec and being able to apply it in novel situations and sort of determine outcomes of practicals and all of those sorts of things. You will develop thinking and problem solving skills. It is quite a challenging subject in some ways. You have to think, you know, quite deep about some of the ideas, and then, you know, again, problem solve using skills and ideas from across the course. Now, biology, if you study biology, you will develop a massive sort of subject-specific vocabulary, which you have to be able to use correctly, both in writing, and you need to be able to express yourself in class and so on. So people who study biology tend to develop really good written and oral communication skills. And the other thing about biology, or any science really, is that it comes back to this last thing, which is evaluating and questioning skills, and it comes with the communication skills, is that in science, we don't just accept the first conclusion that someone might draw from data or from an investigation. We would always question what has gone on, and the ability to use language effectively to question ideas and to evaluate data is a really key skill that you develop by studying biology. So some extra information then. We do offer students a wide range of support in biology. These aren't the only things, but they're the main things that we offer. So one of our teachers, Mrs. Giles, she runs a group called the MDV group. So this is for students who want to apply for medicine, veterinary medicine, dentistry, perhaps at Oxbridge for the natural sciences or for biomedical science, that sort of thing. Perhaps someone who wants to go to UCL or Imperial and do an entrance exam for those in non-medicine type courses, but high-end sort of courses that involve entrance exams and sort of really tough interview processes and what have you. And without going into too much detail, this group meets weekly. She guides them through the process of the entrance exams. She sort of helps them to think more widely about different aspects to do with the science around these entrance exams and language skills around these entrance exams. They will discuss sort of moral issues and ethical issues that are around medicine, veterinary medicine and dentistry. Look at the issues out there, like, you know, funding for the NHS, all of those sorts of things. So really having, you know, really rounded sort of idea of what these courses are about. We provide lower 6 support sessions. So students who join us with a grade 6 in biology or a double 6 in double science are supported in additional weekly sessions. We decide which students go into those sessions, and it really is there as a support, because the jump from GCSE to A level is enormous, and we find it varies a little bit, but we do find that some students who come in with a grade 6 will struggle in the initial weeks, and so we put on these extra sessions just to get them through the first year, really. So that's quite fluid in that if a student is on a 6, we put them into the group, and then they don't need that support anymore, then that's fine. We can decide to take them out of that group. If there's someone who's coming on a 7 or 8 who we feel is struggling, then we can put them into the group. So there's some flexibility there. Another teacher and we provide additional sessions for the upper 6 students. One of us will support students who perhaps are finding some of the topics quite challenging, and we sort of take them back to basics and sort of build up. So that's one way in which we do it. And the other session is about extending those students who can aim for the A's and the A stars and perhaps the high B's, and working through some really challenging questions, getting them to think, a bit more holistically about science and so on. In the past, we have taken students to Portsmouth University to lectures at Portsmouth University. Some of our students have gone to Southampton University to experience days there, but obviously that's curtailed a bit at the moment with the COVID situation. So I hope that in doing my presentation, I have covered, the information that you would like to know. If there's anything else, then obviously the sixth form office would always take a message, a question, or provide me with your contact details if you have a specific question. I wish you all really well. The thing that you need to do before you do anything else, to consider anything else, especially if you're aiming for, sort of these high-end courses like medicine and what have you, is to get the best set of GCSE results that you can get, and that really will make a difference to you. Good luck, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you at some point in the future. So take care. Bye-bye.